September 28th, I'm Chris Allen here on the Sam Channel. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X, all sponsored by Ace Hardware Marketplace. And boy, I'll tell you, we only got a glancing blow out of Helene. It was a nasty day yesterday, wind-driven rain, low visibility, and some power outages, sporadic power outages, nothing in comparison to what they're dealing with just east and southeast of us, from Florida through Georgia into the Carolinas, especially in Appalachia and the Great Smoky Mountains. This is where we're seeing incredible flooding, record-breaking flooding, as a matter of fact. There are places where roads are closed. There have been almost 50 fatalities so far from what was Hurricane Helene. And it still sits over our area, but much, much weaker than what it was. This morning, things are still cloudy. I don't think that's going to change at all today. We're going to stay cloudy, sometimes foggy, sometimes rainy, sometimes misty. It's just going to be a combination of all of that today. So as the remnant low sits over our area, what you see is what you get. This is not going to change for today at all. The biggest problem that we have from what happened with Helene is the flooding. The winds when it made landfall right around Perry, Florida, in the Big Bend area were over 140 miles per hour. And yes, that did some destruction. But the more catastrophic part of this storm has been the flooding, and especially as the remnant low, and it was still kind of a Category 1 hurricane, then went to tropical storm strength as it moved through Georgia, but everybody on the east side of that circulation, which included places like East Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, that's where the flooding has absolutely been the worst. Now, I want to show you, this is your standard Google map, but I want to show you, this is Knoxville, Tennessee, right here. A lot of us go take I-40, go into Knoxville, Tennessee when we want to go over to Sevierville, and there's Dollywood and Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. There are still flood warnings there for those areas. But let me show you, once you go, you can only go I-40 up to about I-81, and then you can take part of I-40 down to 411, which circles back into Sevierville. As you know, you can go through the Smoky Mountain National Park. But look at all this. This is I-40 is then closed from that area all the way down. And it is just incredible. There are parts of Interstate 40 that no longer exist. There are parts of Highway 321, US 321, that no longer exist. So if you were to go from, say, a lot of us, when we go into the Smoky Mountains National Park, some of us take 321 and we go up and then around. If you want to do the big tour of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, or most of us take that 441 and we go through the park and we come up to the border of North Carolina and Tennessee. And we know right there is like one of the highest elevations. You can look around. There's a nice place there. It's along the Appalachian Trail. All of that is closed. And some of this will be closed for not just weeks, but maybe months because of intense flooding. It's pretty incredible. what has happened. And even as you get on into North Carolina and you try to go over to Asheville, as you know, if you're going around I-40, well, that part is closed. You can't get back on I-40 until you get to where 74 and 19 meet up with it. And then if you're trying to make it over toward Asheville and even go over to the Biltmore and things like that, look at the roads that are closed there. Same thing. And there were places right around Biltmore, the Biltmore Hotel, that were flooded. And then you continue on and there's, you know, all over the place. It's just really incredible the amount of flooding that has taken place. And then even in parts of East Tennessee, you go over to Crossville, Crab Orchard, those places, you get on up into Eastern Kentucky. And of course, we had a lot of wind damage around Lexington. We've got some roads that are closed over in Virginia near Bluefield, the interstate even. I mean, it's just really, really devastating. Some of the video that I've seen this morning, some of the news reports coming, especially out of North Carolina and those places, once you just get past Gatlinburg, it's all closed. It's all closed, and it will remain closed for a long, long time. So if you had a weekend planned for the Great Smoky Mountains, Gatlinburg, that area, you might as well just not just cancel those plans. If it's in the next couple of weeks, it's that bad. And as I mentioned, almost 50 fatalities as of 7 a.m. this morning. It's just heartbreaking. And those folks, really, when it comes down to who got the most damage out of this, it may be those folks and not the folks in Florida. Florida got it bad from the wind end of it and some flooding inundation there on the coast. But it is going to be Appalachia that picks up the brunt of any kind of, flooding from the storm. All right, let's take a look at radar on this Saturday morning. First of all, I want to show you the current watches, warnings, advisories. There's still high water, flash flood warnings, and flash flood watches out for Virginia. We go to, this is flash flood warning and a wind advisory that continues up near the Tri-Cities, Bristol, and Kingsport, Tennessee. Look at all the flood warnings that continue. Flood emergencies are still taking place in a lot of those places into North Carolina, around the Asheville area, back toward Knoxville. Of course, right there is the Smoky Mountains. So all, and then South Carolina, Georgia, remember it flooding. And then down where, right here, the Big Bend area, just of Apalachicola, around Perry, Florida, is where Helene made landfall. And there's still a lot of warnings going on there. Back here at home, any kind of watches, warnings from wind or flood have been lifted. But let me tell you that along the Green River, there's still going to be some activity as far as flooding potential in the next couple of days, because everything's got to run downstream, and it hasn't yet done that. And that circulation, as you can see, is just going to sit right over us here in the Bowling Green area, southern Kentucky, for the remainder of the weekend. As I put this into motion, you can see the spin, the backward spin of what is left of Helene. I mean, it is sitting pretty much directly over Bowling Green this morning. And so that's why I say what you see is what you get. We're going to have times when the rain is a little more steady. Then there's going to be times when you think, oh, well, finally, this is over. But then here comes another piece of that swirl that's going to circulate back into southern Kentucky. And then here comes another big burst of rain. Nothing as heavy as it was yesterday, but this is not letting up at all anytime this weekend. This is going to continue to be talked about, and we're going to continue to at least deal with the remnants here for the remainder of the weekend, and maybe even a little bit of Monday, as some of the leftovers will take their time just to get out of here. That's the problem, is that we don't have any upper winds to steer the remnants of Helene out of our area. So it's just going to sit here and spin pretty much all weekend and just continue to deliver these bouts of rain and wind. Not as bad as yesterday, but windy at times. All right, here's a look at the Kentucky Mesonet network. And we see that temperatures are in the very nice and pleasant 60s. I don't think we're going to make it out of the 60s today with the cloud cover and the circulation that's over us. We hit 73 for a high yesterday, and that was 6 degrees below the average of 79. And by the way, as we take a look at rainfall totals, let's go past 48 hours. We'll take in a couple of days instead of just yesterday. Wow. Look at that. How long has it been since we've seen that? I don't know, but it's been a long, long time. All right. The Kentucky Mesonet network showing almost 5 inches of rain in Crittenden County, 5 1/3 inches of rain in Marshall County. That's the Benton community. Back here close to home, 3.5 inches of rain at the Mesonet site out at the Ag Expo Center. 3.5 inches of rain total last 48 hours at the Corvette plant sensor. Then you've got 3.5 plus down in Allen County, 3.5 plus over in Metcalfe. You get 3.5 plus, almost 4 in Simpson County. Then you do have 4.5 plus Logan County, 4.5 inches in Todd County, and the numbers just keep going up and up and up. I mean, even up in Grayson County, 3 3/4 inches of rain. These are totals over the past 2 days. Very, very beneficial rainfall, and I think at this point we can say it's if it's not a drought buster, it's awfully close. 24-hour totals from yesterday, 1 inch, almost 2 inches, 2 inches down at the Ag Expo site. Then you get 3s and 4s as you head back to the west. And remember, we said anywhere from 2 to 4 inches. This verified very, very well. Crazy. And we're going to add to that maybe another inch, 1.5 over the course of the weekend collectively, not all at once. Just imagine all that happening all at once. It would have been bad for us as far as flooding. But thankfully, we're not going to deal with that. There will be some flooding along the rivers and streams as we get into Monday and Tuesday of next week as everything runs downstream. So be looking for that. There will be some flood advisories and things, but mainly along the Green River, the Barren River, the Rough River, those rivers and their tributaries, creeks and streams around southern Kentucky. Dew points still up into the 60s, but not all that high. The winds have died down a bit. They're coming out. You can see where the circulation is right there, just by the arrows. The winds come out of the south on the east side of the circulation, and then they go from the north in western Kentucky on the backside of what was Helene. Gusts occasionally 10 to 15 miles per hour. And that's going to be the case pretty much all day today and even into part of tomorrow. So if you're going to do anything outside, there's still going to be a bit of a breeze, an occasional rain shower, a heavier shower, maybe, and then a dry period. Then here it comes again. It's just with that circulation sitting right on top of us, it's going to be that way for the rest of the weekend. All right, here we go with the model blender. Let's see if we can dry things out, and we will. We're only going to go about 66, 67 for a high today. And as we get to tonight, temperatures are not going to change all that much. We'll go into the low 60s. Then we go maybe 70 to 73 tomorrow. Still some showers hanging around. Monday into Tuesday, we'll start to see some sun trying to break through at times. And we get a little warmer as the remnant Helene begins to finally be caught up in the upper winds and moved away. Then the rest of next week looks great. Sunshine and less humid air begins to move in. Yeah, we'll see highs around 80. That's not bad. Mid 70s to 80. The normal is 79 for this particular time of the year. Notice we're going to hit a few 80s, and then we're going to go back into the 70s for next week, the first full week of October. Then we see lows dipping even into the low 50s at night, and that's because of the less humid air. Once we get rid of Helene, then we'll start to feel less humid air settling in, and it's going to feel nice, really nice. So we will enjoy that, but in the meantime, there's still people without power. There's still people dealing with flooding, and even here in Kentucky, there's still a long way to go before we can start to feel better about any of this. Okay, here's a look at the maps, and you can see that the remnant low is just going to sit and spin right over the area today with a little bit of a breeze and rainy periods as we go through the day. And it just sits and spins and sits and spins and moves very little. This is after midnight tomorrow. Here's 7 a.m. Sunday morning, sits and spins. It's not going to move much. Finally, we will start to see some evidence of upper winds pushing the remnant low pressure system out of the way, even though there may be a shower or two, say Monday afternoon into early Tuesday. We'll finally see this thing moving away. Here we go, Tuesday into Wednesday, into Thursday and Friday next week. It's going to be much, much better. And that less humid air is going to feel extra nice. Even though it's not bad right now, it's a damp. It feels damp because it is. It's really, really damp across the area, but it's not all that warm and muggy, which is good. By the way, we set a one-day record for rainfall yesterday at the Bowling Green Airport at 2.97 inches of rain, almost 3 inches of rain. That's a new record for September 27th, which was yesterday's date. The old record for September 27th was 2.2 inches of rain, and that was set back in 1996. So record-breaking rainfall, and in a lot of ways, this whole storm was kind of historic, especially for the folks in Florida, and more especially so for the folks in the Carolinas who are dealing with just awful, awful flooding. And unfortunately, the fatalities, which continue to rise. All right, you guys, just have a great weekend, if you will, and thoughts and prayers for all those and the linemen that are out there taking care of getting power restored, and the road workers that are trying to patch up roadways. In some cases, it's going to take weeks and months for some of that to come back. And in those very special areas to us, and I know to me and Sheila, We love Gatlinburg. We love the Smokies. We love going there. It's one of our favorite places to go. And now you can't, not only can you not go there now, you can go to Sevierville, you can go to Pigeon Forge, but once you get into Gatlinburg, everything is closed. I-40 is closed. Once you go that direction, you can't get there now. And it's going to be a while before all of that opens back up. That's what a shame. All right, you guys, thank you for watching.